So I didn't really expect to be making this video today, as honestly, I thought this was one of the more obvious takes on a card that was just about universally agreed upon. But after seeing some rather interesting messages in my Discord, and a couple of people who actually seem really hyped about this card to be released, I thought I'd better come out and correct a few of you guys in your very misguided opinions. So the one card we're going to be talking about today is of course Brain Control, a brand new SR rarity spell card about to be released in the upcoming box Arts of Atlantis, and I'm just going to come out and say it. This card is about as useful as a condom produced in a thumbtack factory, and here's why. But just before I get into that, just a friendly reminder that if you are enjoying any of the content you're watching or find any of it useful, to please leave a like on the video down below and consider subscribing to the channel whilst you're down there. I'm getting pretty close to 50k now, so I'd appreciate all the subs I can get. It's completely free and you can unsub at any time. Alright, so Brain Control simply reads, pay 800 life points and target one face-up monster your opponent controls that can be normal summoned or set. Take control of that target until the end phase. Now at first glance you might think, damn, take control of your opponent's monsters? This is just a power-crept enemy controller, and you guys know how relevant that card has been across the history of Duel Links. No. This card is nowhere near the strength of enemy controller. Sure, the card has the obvious upside of no longer having a real cost, since you don't have to tribute anything to activate it. But for one thing, it's not even a quick play spell, so it's completely unusable during your opponent's turn, whereas obviously Econ is a really powerful form of disruption. But that's not even the biggest issue here. This card would 100% still be playable over enemy controller if it didn't contain the following words. One face-up monster your opponent controls that can be normal summoned or set. This one little bit of text takes this card from being a top tier contender to absolutely terrible. This is some gold level deck building terrible. So what this line of text basically means is, well, what it says. This card can only yoink stuff that can be normal summoned or set. So if your opponent controls an Alistair the Invoker, congratulations, you too can now be the proud owner of such a card with one simple activation of Brain Control. The issue lies with the fact that your opponent isn't likely to control an Alistair, is he? That Alistair has probably already become a Purgatrio via a special summon. And since the card can only be special summoned from the extra deck via a special summon, guess what? This card cannot be normal summoned or set. Therefore, Brain Control cannot steal it. And this isn't just some uniquely invoked thing. Every extra deck card falls into this category of cannot be normal summoned or set. Brain Control cannot touch any card summoned via the extra deck. Cyber Slash? Nope. Gaia? Nope. Bowser? Nope. And guess what? It doesn't just stop there. Let's say you're against a Thunder Dragon player who just summoned a Levianeer and just wiped your board, and somehow you survived the turn. You might have thought, hell yeah, let me just activate my Brain Control and yoink that 3k attack big boy. It wasn't summoned from the extra deck, so I can yoink it, right? Right? Yeah, no. The first line of text on Levianeer simply reads, cannot be normal summoned or set. So therefore, once again, Brain Control becomes about as useful as Seto Kaiba buying a Father's Day card. And there are more examples like this than you might think. Remember Blue Eye's Alternative? Guess what that card's first line of text is? Cannot be normal summoned or set. How about Berserkion? Yep, once again, cannot be normal summoned or set. So what decks is this card actually useful on? Well, let's give this card a fair trial and go through the most used decks over the past month, one by one. And for this part, I'm going to stop reading a script as I honestly think it would be just easier to do it live. Alright, like I said, this part of the video isn't going to be scripted at all. It's just going to be me going through the top 10-15 decks to show you guys what cards are actually brain controllable, or which cards are actually useful to get brain controlled. So yeah, if it sounds a bit weird, that's why. Alright, so let's get into it. Obviously I won't go through all the decks here as there's just way too many, but let's just go through a couple of them, like the most popular ones. So we'll start with Onomats. Obviously, Onomats are an Xyz focused deck heavily, so there's generally not even going to be a monster left on board their turn 1 anyway. So the only stuff you're going to be able to steal is level 4 at max, and they're all extra deck focused, so you're not stealing a Roach, you're not stealing a Bowser, these cards can't be stolen by it. So you're just left stealing rank 4s or just level 4s at best. Completely dead card. Let's move on to Gaia. Once again, completely extra deck focused deck. At best, if you somehow manage to stop their fusion summon, they're left with just a big monster on board, you can steal a 2300 attack Gaia. That's not that bad, I guess. You can steal Dark Flare Dragon. That's possible, I guess. But other than that, you're not stealing their boss monsters. But I guess Dark Flare Dragon isn't that bad. Alright, let's try Tech Genesis. So this one's arguable. This one's kind of useful against, because Tech Genesis generally end on a TG Star Guardian and some other monster, so they can try to do a Synchro Summon during your opponent's turn. So it's kind of useful, because it can force your opponent to have to, when you target their other monster, it forces their Star Guardian to have to go into Synchro Summon right there and then, so it stops you getting Black Rosed. But obviously, it doesn't actually inherently remove anything, so they can go into a full Black Rose Onimaru combo where they let on an Onimaru, and then you still have to remove that monster. Your card didn't steal it. So, not all that great. It's not as bad as other stuff though. At least it does force your opponent to activate their Star Guardian, similar to what a Book of Moon might do. So I guess it's kind of useful there. You can make an argument. Resonator. Not really. There are some hands that we're good into, because sometimes they'll be left on a Doom Caliber Knight and you can steal their Doom Caliber Knight. That's kind of useful. Other than that, you're not stealing any of their Synchro monsters, that's for sure. So I guess Doom Caliber Knight's a target. It's something. It's not that bad. I mean, it's still a mandatory negate, so you can't activate any effects or it'll just go off, but you can still steal it. Alright, let's try Thunder Dragon. What can we steal in here? So, if they end on a Bowser, you're not stealing that. If they end on a Levianeer, like I said in the video, you're not stealing that. But I guess there are some targets, like sometimes they end on just a Roar, just so that because they plan for you to kill it to try to get through to them, and they've got hand traps to keep themselves alive. They don't generally need to end on Nick C's monster if they've got some hand traps in hand or whatever. This deck list actually runs no hand traps, but generally some of these of the Thunder Dragon decks have got hand traps in them. This deck looks really not standard actually. Is there another one I can look at? Yeah, one like this. It's like some of it. It's got like hand traps and stuff in there. So you can try to steal a Roar. I guess if they might have a Lupine still on board, you can steal that. But obviously none of these cards are actually that useful for you to steal. There's going to be a level 6 with a bit of attack and a level 4. You're not really stealing anything too useful. They generally end on things like Bowser anyway, or they end on just not much because they can just defend themselves with hand traps. You're not stealing anything useful in Thunder Dragon. Alright, Blue Eyes. Finally, a deck that's arguable to be like actually a good card against. You can mind control their Blue Eyes. If they open cards or consonants into White Stone, they're going to end on a Blue Eyes. So during your turn, you can yoink their 3000 attack monster. Actually, not that bad. But if they don't open cards or consonants and they open, you know, a couple of Karma Cuts and Hello Life Barriers, then you're not going to be stealing anything because it'll pass to your turn and that's when they'll discard the stone. And since it's not a quick play effect, you can't steal the Blue Eyes then. So, kind of useful against this deck. Like I said, it can't steal alternative, so the only things you're stealing is Blue Eyes. So I guess you can make the argument, good card versus Blue Eyes. Alright, Cyber Dragon. Let's try to speedrun these a little bit as we're taking our time here. Obviously, it's not that great versus this deck. They can just activate Cyberblade Fusion in response. They could activate the Overflow in response. But even if you try to do it beforehand, so like if they left their board with a Cyber Dragon and an Overflow set, I guess it's kind of useful because it forces them to use it there and then. But generally they end their board with multiple Cyber Dragons, or at least have some Cyber Dragons in hand, since I'm pretty sure this can get rid of cards in hand too to destroy stuff. So yeah. Not that useful with this deck, and obviously not stealing any of the extra deck either. Yeah, the only use is that obviously it can, if you steal one of their Cyber Dragons on board, it means their Overflow has to be preemptively used, otherwise you get control of the monster, they can't use it as part of their destruction. So it can have a slight use, same as it stops them trying to polymerization, and you can force them to poly early. So it does have some use, I guess. The monster you're stealing is pretty garbage though. Harpies, obviously this is like complete and utter garbage, because even if you do activate, let's just say you are, they end on a slash dragon and just a random harpy. I mean, they can even activate their slash's effect in response to return the harpy back to hand that you're trying to steal. This actually just like, this is probably the worst matchup for it. First, they don't even care you steal their harpy, but even if they did, they can just return it to hand using the slash. So, terrible matchup for harpy. Shiranui. Yeah, obviously this one's garbage. It's all mostly trap card focused. Very bad card against. You can steal their spectral sword, and then it'll just go back to them. What are you going to do with an 800 attack monster? You're going to tribute summon over it, so it goes back to their graveyard, and then they can just use it from there anyway. It's going to do nothing against this deck. Absolutely nothing. Trimid. Actually another deck that's kind of useful against. The monster you steal is pretty damn useless, but at least you can steal most of their monsters, since they don't really go into the extra deck very often. Unfortunately, Trimid Sphinx cannot be normal summoned or set. You can't steal this boy, but I guess you can at least steal the little guys. Although, since they're all quick effects, they'll just respond with swapping out their field spells, and then you still have to deal with Trimid Pulse and whatever else, so didn't exactly do a whole lot against that deck. Would have preferred a Cosmic Cyclone. Water Xyz. Yeah, same shit. This is just an all extra deck based deck. You're not stealing anything in here. This is all extra deck focused. They only end on Abyss Dwellers. Sometimes they end on a Atlantean's attack squad. You can steal that card at least. But that's it. That's all you're yoinking there. Witchcrafter, and finally, other than Blue Eyes, I think this is the other like main one the card is useful against. You can steal Vray. So if you want to side deck this card in tournaments so that in case you come against a Witchcrafter, you can yoink their Madame Vray. I guess that's a good idea. This deck's boss monster is actually yoinkable via brain control. Congratulations. You finally have found a deck that's actually usable for it to be yoinked. Yeah, even if you target one of these guys, it forces them to like quick effects, swap out, all that kind of stuff. But obviously, Vray's a good target. So, there's a deck you can counter. And other than that, yeah, we do like a bit of a speed run. It's kind of good versus Fire King. I'm pretty sure their monster's normal summable, so you can yoink it. Yep, you can yoink. There's another deck it's pretty good against. You can yoink their Avatar, which is obviously a negate card. You can yoink that when they summon it. You can yoink the Garunix as well. This is a pretty good deck to yoink. Not too bad. Some good stuff in there. And after that, nope. 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 Well, kind of. They would swap out their magnets, so not really. And you can't take control of their boss. Nope. You can steal Dark Magician, I guess. That is kind of a thing, although they activate their stuff before you're like, yeah, it's kind of okay versus Dark Magician, not that great. Evil Hero, nope. Yeah, obviously that, I think you kind of get the picture. We've got what, 2 decks or 3 decks? We've got Fire King, we've got Witchcrafter, and we've got, what's the other? Blue Eyes. And other than that, the others are very questionable. Kind of okay against Trimid. You can sort of steal some things in Thunder, and that's it. Everything else, you're doing nothing. You can just, if you run an Econ though, Econ works in Onomats, works in Gaia, works in Tech Genesis, works in Resonator, works in, literally Econ works against all these decks. So if you want to run a card that yoinks stuff, just use Econ, for the love of God. As you can see, obviously this card is complete and utter doo-doo. So before you consider investing all your life savings into this upcoming box to get a hold of such a card, remember, condom in a thumbtack factory. Literally, just go spend some ranked tickets on Enemy Controller. That card is actually decent and proven to be so competitively ever since the game's release. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this little discussion video. If I got anything wrong, or if you have any further remarks you'd like to make about the card, feel free to leave the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video or found any of the content useful, please remember to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel whilst you're down there. Thank you guys for watching. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.